Hello and welcome to Differential Discussions. I'm Melissa,
And I'm Dave.
and we're back with another Do That Diff. We have Kyle with us again. So Kyle, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
All right, and today we have another exciting case for everyone to take a peek at. So I'm gonna share the CBC automated diff and the scattergram information.
Yep. And Melissa had an evil smile, so Kyle and I are getting ready.
I'm already looking at this saying I see why she had an evil smile.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So 217 is a big number on the white count, obviously.
That hemoglobin and platelet count also scream suppression in the bone marrow, so not good.
3 cell lines affected. So yeah, automatically I start thinking about hematological malignancies, what it might be. And so at this point, the auto diff is just absolutely useless. We see a bunch of not measureds, right? So yeah, platelet count looks about right. Looking at the histogram, don't think we have much issues there. The IMI channel. Let me move this.
That whole cytogram is just a mess. This is just abnormal. These cells did not read the textbook, Melissa, and I do not understand.
They failed the test.
Right? It's rude.
So yeah, a couple different ways that we can go. So on the diff scatter, and we have 81-year-old male. So that is important, right? So 81-year-old males with huge white counts, right? So if I had to guess, you tell me what you think, Kyle, right? But 81-year-old male, white cell count of 200. I start thinking maybe a CML or something like that. What do you think?
That's where my brain's going. I'm thinking a CML. I'd want to see the diff to make sure, or to determine if it is true. And then also, are they entering a blast crisis phase? So yeah, this picture between the very high white cell count and the anemia and thrombocytopenia is in an 81-year-old male is screaming that. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and the hematocrit's not H&H isn't critical, right? Platelet isn't quite. Wait, I've got to think that. No, not quite critical, right? So those things kind of support a CML. But then the diff channel. So if it were in fact a CML to me, I would expect that neutrophil population to be kind of extended. So I worry that
so Dave, just as let's point it out, like this should be the neutrophil population,
right?
And you would expect it to be extended this way.
Yeah, separate and apart from where it looks like the would-be lymphocyte population, would-be monocyte population are like bled together. So I'm a little bit concerned about malignant blast forms, but that's still quite a high neutrophil count for like a true AML. So this is actually a little bit of a quirky one.
And then you have to keep in mind, I'm seeing nucleated reds were measured on the auto diff side of things. So I'm thinking like, is that white cell? I don't think it's going to correct to normal by any stretch. But is that white cell really 217, or are we going to have a good number of nucleated reds that could be impacting this picture as well?
Excellent insight.
Yeah. Thank you.
Seriously, I totally right over my head.
Yeah. If I were seeing that high of a white count with a low hemoglobin, but the platelet was actually fairly normal-ish, I might be really a 217 white cell count is really up there, but I might be thinking like, hey, are nucleated reds falsely elevating my white cell count? Since these instruments can't differentiate nucleated red cells from plain old white cells. But again, I'd have to see the smear, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a change that's going to be noted. So
it's also worth noting these were ran on an XE 5000, probably, Melissa, right? Is that accurate? So our XNs look a little bit different nowadays, but yeah, the XE definitely had some limitations with regard to NRBCs.
And just Dave, XEXN says Sysmex analyzers.
Right. Yep. Cool. So Kyle, what do you think? We ready to?
Yeah, let's dive into the there's I think it's more likely a CML, but my brain is kind of going in a variety of directions where I want to look at this smear and start putting the pieces together and understanding these numbers.
Definitely, right. We certainly don't expect to see normal when we look here, right? And then
that's perfect.
that looks like a lot of purple.
It does.
And it doesn't look like, from this high up, it doesn't look like a lot of nucleated reds.
Right.
So what's really telling in all of this, and this is one of the critical reasons that I always start at that low power, you're noticing that there are a lot of white cells, but more importantly, they are clumping together. They have lost contact inhibition. This is a clear sign of some type of malignant process going on. So I know we're jumping the gun, but to me, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, you better walk that duck, mama.
I couldn't agree more. And I do try to put emphasis on clumps and clusters of cells. It's extremely abnormal for normal cells to be buddy like that. And so this is a huge red flag.
Dave, as a native Massachusetts resident who now resides in Florida, it is so good to hear someone say cluster.
You're welcome.
I love my Southern colleagues, but they say this weird sound at the end of it, cluster. Like, it's very strange. I don't understand their dialect very well.
Us New Englanders.
Right? We invented the language, I think.
Would you like me to keep scanning, or would you like me to drop to 40?
I think we can go down now, yeah, and get a closer look.
Let's drop it low. Let's do this.
Okay. So it's a little hazy for me.
Yeah,
same here.
We actually might be fine with just straight oil, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to go right to oil.
Yeah, let's go right to oil. It's no big deal. Certainly some large cells though, right? So
oh yeah. Oh, hello, myelocytes.
Yep.
Oh, this is screaming already CML. Oh yeah. Right on the money is what I'm thinking, you or Dave.
Yeah, I think that was I believe it. Yeah. I'll credit your intuitions as well.
I mean, we still have to look. We're not done yet.
We're not done.
Yeah, this one field, we are a little bit thin in the area, but the cells are fragile. We're seeing 3 smudge cells. You may occasionally hear smudge cells referred to as basket cells. That's an older term for them. They're just cells that were ruptured as part of the smearing process. And it's just the exposed nuclear material. Usually malignant cells, they're much more fragile than normal cells. So we see an elevation in smudgies, as I like to call them, when we're looking at a malignant patient. And we're looking at very large cells that are intact, that are screaming immature myeloid lineage. I'm seeing I'm going to call it 4 myelocytes and then a segmented neutrophil up in the top there.
Yeah, and the segmented neutrophil is actually, I know it might sound stupid, but it's kind of what I care about right now a little bit, right? So neutrophils are kind of like one of the first cells to disappear in a really invasive, like acute leukemia. And their presence would kind of support the fact that this might be a CML. So one of the other things that we might kind of consider is some kind of an AML that has differentiation involved, right? There might be some, so I still want to keep that door open, but yeah, I tend to agree with you. These all look like granulocyte lineage. Yeah.
The other thing in looking again, they're not, it's not perfect, but these red cells, the MCV was lower,
right,
and you're starting to see a micro, these are smaller and hypochromic. The red cells, they do look a little bit, they're hypochromic for sure.
Yep.
It's hard to tell if they're microcytic. Yeah, because actually there's a few microcytes. If we look at that small resting lymph there,
yep,
There's one here. And there's one there for you guys to compare it to.
Yeah, there's a few there's a good number of microcytes, not enough where this is like some fulminant microcytic anemia, but you can tell that there's probably in an 81-year-old man, depending on the medical history, there's probably some iron dysregulation going on. Again, we can't just go with iron deficiency or iron dysregulation right off the bat. We would need more testing to confirm that. But if he has no prior history, it's suggestive of that. But again, I'm seeing big, I'm seeing blue,
Yep.
I'm seeing they touching each other too much. This is inappropriate. There's
inappropriate touching.
Inappropriate. And if you look at that cell in the top left,
yep,
it looks like it's giving us some inappropriate hand signals. So I find that rude. Sometimes for those of you that have never done diffs before, the cells will speak to you in ways that you never thought possible.
They definitely, yes, they they definitely emote, don't they?
Yes, they do. They're very angry that they're out of the nice cushy blood vessels.
So so looking at some of these cells, I think this actually kind of tricky to differentiate them. They're for the maturation cycle of the neutrophil, I expect the basophilia to leave by the time of some of these kind of stages. And what's sticking out to me is in the middle of the field here at top, I see like a much more immature granulocyte, right? So thinking like maybe meta or myelometa there. But this is definitely looking like a possible blast crisis CML. The more and more we look, what do you think?
I don't know if I would call it a blast crisis quite yet. I'm actually seeing what could be a dysplastic picture going on here. Okay. Because there seems to be some lack of synchronization between the that meta that you called out. There seems to be a lack of synchronization between the cytoplasmic granulation and the nuclear the chromatin condensation. So again, an 81-year-old man, certainly, I'm sure when this picture presents, the oncologist would have CML, they'd be worried about a blast crisis, but myelodysplastic syndrome couldn't be ruled out quite yet from the two fields that we looked at. So I certainly don't want to jump the gun personally yet.
Sure. And I think the diff scattergram, the diff scattergram supports what you're saying, right? So if I remember correctly, our bottom axes there on our diff should support the side scatter, right? Which is going to show us that internal complexity. Having that population shifted over left over the lymphs like that might kind of show in a different data point that these cells don't have as many granules as they should. Just my spitballing here.
Yeah, they just don't. Even that neutrophil that's kind of pushed up against that cell, yes, it's got some pink to it, but it's very agranular. Like there's not a lot of grit to that cell. And again, this is, I see Melissa smirking, so I might be onto something here. They're just, I'm hoping I'm onto something. There's just something weird about this picture where the nucleus and the cytoplasms aren't agreeing, which we'd expect in some type of malignant picture.
Right. Yeah. So when you use the term that nuclear cytoplasm asynchrony, there's the expectation, this nucleus, this cytoplasm, and then we're just not getting that lining up. Nice and neat, right?
Yeah, because with, it's very staged. Like we have in the promyelocyte, those first granules, those primary granules form. And those are what give us that myeloperoxidase that's present in all of our myeloid lines. And it's during that myelocyte stage where you get that secondary granule formation. And very poetically, it's the dawn of either neutrophilia, eosinophilia, or basophilia. And you see that kind of preference for stain move forward from that myelocyte into whatever mature form. And again, I'm just seeing some weird disagreement between these nuclei and their cytoplasm.
I'm interested to see.
Can I move around some more?
Please. Yeah.
I'll go a little bit thicker too. A little bit thicker.
Oh, yeah, that cell in the top.
There it is. You're right.
Yeah, that
Now
cell.
I'm sold.
Yeah, that cell in the top left, it has a nucleus that is starting to condense. It's starting to clump up. There's some maturity to it. Oh no, you moved.
Oh,
It's
Other way.
other way. Ah, where'd it go? So okay, the one that's on the left right now, like far left, basically would be 9 o'clock. Yes.
Yeah.
That if you look at the chromatin pattern, you're seeing condensation. You're starting to see the Golgi body, that clearing out on the left side of the cell, push in and flatten. But yet that's suggestive of kind of a myelocyte nucleus to me. But then you're looking at the cytoplasm and it's still super basophilic, and you can see those primary granules. So it's almost as if this cytoplasm is taking far too long, or that nucleus is developing far too fast, either one. But there's definitely a lack of synchronicity between the two going on.
And there was another cell too I wanted to highlight. There looked to be a nucleus that had a literal hole punched out in the middle of it. Another, so yeah, right there on the far right. Now center field.
Oh yeah. Oof.
So I think another feature kind of showing a dyspoesis. So I'm now worshiping the cult of Kyle. I think I'm buying into the dysplastic picture more and more.
Do you think this is neutrophilic lineage?
So it's hard for me to is that a mono?
I don't think it knows what its lineage is, if I'm being honest.
So for me, it looks like one complete nuclei. Is it folded? Oh, shoot. All right.
Yeah, I can see the fold on the left-hand side. The clearing out is still very strange. It's almost like the Golgi's trapped in between the lobes of the monocyte.
And it's a different color than you might expect, right? That little clearing.
Yeah, I do not think this cell, I don't think any of these cells know what they want to be.
So something else too. What about that cell in the top right now of the field that's fully in the field? That hazy nucleoli that's in there, that ain't good. I don't like that.
Let's look around a little bit more. Let me bring you to this.
Oh,
okay.
Gross.
It's one of the first like good-looking pros-ish that I've kind of seen.
Oh, but bad for the patient. Ugh. Is that okay, so the clump of cells dead center, the bottom right one, like right there, that is almost looking like a pronormocyte.
I could see that.
Like so with the pronormocytes, the earliest cells that we can identify in the red cell lineage, one of the telltale features that's always been there for me is the basophilia is so deep in those maturing cells that you actually, it's hard to figure out where the cytoplasm ends and nucleus begins. And this is like the right size, and there have been other nucleated reds, so it certainly could be part of this picture. Oh my goodness, this is why flow cytometry is a lovely tool.
I know, right? Is there an inclusion? There looks to be. Let me see if I can grab my my tools here. Hold on.
Yeah, grab your tools.
Need to figure out how to do this again. Oh, I don't think I have my same tool suite, or at least it looks different. What's this? Oh, here we go. I got it. So this cell here, what is going on there? There's like some kind of a line. Do you see the?
Yeah, there's some type of, it's either just a staining quirk, or it's just a deep, you can see the Golgi's pushing into the nucleus there. That's what that clearing is. I almost wonder if it's just a kind of artifactual basophilia along that Golgi. And
my brain just wants to like move a fine focus that's not there.
This would be one that I would spend probably 20 to 30 minutes going through, because there on this field alone, I would need some time to really look and count these cells. This would be a diff I'd do a 200 cell count diff on, because there are so many white cells. The bigger of a population I can get, the better. I'm going to put myself out on a limb here. I could be wrong, and that's okay. This looks myelodysplastic to me.
Yeah, I think I buy some of the dysplasia. There seems to be a decent amount of monos too, which is bothering me. Maybe
Could
I
be
kind of like
CMML.
I was gonna say CMML. I'm just gonna dare to be different here and say that you're likely right with the dysplastic. And CMML does kind of a dysplastic kind of process too, right? If I don't remember.
It's one or the other. Like literally, I am not going to refute you on CMML. This is one where I would put the diff out, and flow cytometry and a little bit of molecular would be needed to define what the diagnosis is.
Yep.
I think personally, I think either guess right now is solid if we were on the bench. And again, you need that data and that integration to be able to make a final call for that patient. Not, again, the physician will, but
well, I know why Melissa was smiling when she was bringing this case.
Yeah,
it actually triggers me, Kyle. So like whenever she's happy about something, I get real scared.
I'm not surprised. She's a little sadistic like that. We all know it, and it's okay. We love her for it. We love her for it. So
you guys just had so much fun. I don't know what you're complaining about.
I actually did. So I need to know what this is.
Yeah. So first I would say, like, so for molecular testing, we would just for the sake of the completion of the video, we might want a BCR ABL, right? Like make sure and we rule out CML and but yeah, I guess yeah, what the heck is it, Melissa?
So this was listed as an AML, a monocytic leukemia.
No kidding.
Oh, dang.
So,
but I agree with you. I think there's a lot of dysplastic features, and there are a lot of immature granulocytes in here.
Yeah.
Which
this is and that's the thing that I love about heme is it is, we're gonna like Dave, you said in a prior discussion on a different smear, we're telling a narrative, and this is where you'd have to integrate all the pieces. The marrow would probably be the telling feature. If we were to see a blast laden marrow, then that would be a key. But this alone, this was a funky one.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Darn, I'm mad.
This one's challenging because a lot of the immature granulocytes are holding on to that basophilial, like you were saying, and so a lot of them, and the monos, and there's pro-monos in this one too, they look similar in their cytoplasms, all of them.
This is
stumped us.
This was really messed up.
Well, this was a challenging one, but that's why I gave it to you guys, because I knew you could handle it.
So yeah, I'm looking again at this cell too. So, you know, retrospect, this is gross to me.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why there's so many monos.
Yeah. And, you know, I expect a lower platelet count than 80, right? So like there's definitely some things that don't generally jive with an AML. And we don't really know what stage, you know, is this a presentation slide? You know, this is but super cool.
And why do you say that, Dave?
What's that? Sorry?
Why do you say if this is a presentation, like why would it matter where we are?
Yeah. So generally speaking, with acute leukemias, that presentation is usually where you get the most severe kind of outlook in the clinical picture. Usually the H&H platelet are severely depressed. And what could happen, a patient presents, right? And the immediate threat to one's life would be the threat of a bleed with the thrombocytopenia and the threat of the anemia and hypoxia with the low H&H. So they may be given blood products, right? And that might kind of bring the H&H and the platelet up to a level that makes it a little bit trickier to spot that. But
yeah, I don't know, but I think this was very rude, Melissa.
I consider this a slight.
Well, I can't be nice to you guys every time.
Yeah, the first one, you know, it was funny, Kyle, is we got like the extremes, right?
We went, like, the first slide you all did with me was like, hey, this is just a friendly virus. Now it's like, you got acute leukemia, people.
She
Like,
lulled us to sleep.
yeah, man, she is all over the place with us.
Well, that's what you get on the bench. Sometimes you get a virus and sometimes you get leukemia.
It really is. No, and that's why I loved working hematology, is everything was different. And there were cases like this that we would process the white cell diff, we would report out what we saw, and we would then send those results, and members of the team in flow cytometry, members of the team in molecular, and the oncologist and pathologist, we'd all be working together and making that final picture. So you have to always keep in mind with the white cell differentials, that there is a lot more information that's still going to be generated through the diagnostic process, and that information is going to be what helps make that diagnosis as well. So just make sure you perform your diff to the highest degree of accuracy as possible, because that's important to that process.
Yeah, definitely a big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Kyle, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thanks,
I appreciate you,
thanks
but I
for
don't
surviving the
appreciate
punishment.
smear.
And everybody else, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you'd like notifications whenever we post a new video. And feel free to reach out to us on social media or via email with comments or suggestions about future content. Thanks.